So have you ever noticed the way that locals walk in Hawaii? And sometimes it's hard to see because if you grew up in Hawaii or you lived here for a really long time, it's just kind of the way that locals walk. But if you take a very close look, you'll see it. It's there. It's the Hawaii walk. There have been times when I was in Colorado, Oregon, and even in Japan, where I'm walking around and in a crowd, I spot someone that looks like they're from Hawaii just by the way that they walk. And then as we get closer and closer and closer, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy's from Hawaii. And then of course, as we're passing each other, you gotta make sure that you do the obligatory head nod, and then you can throw a little bit of shaka. So in this video, I wanna talk about the Hawaii walk and 3 characteristics that pretty much you can identify anyone who is from Hawaii, because I'm hoping I'm not imagining things. And I hope that by the end of this video, you can take these 3 characteristics and maybe identify someone from Hawaii at least 100 yards away. And also you'll see just one more thing that makes living in Hawaii so special. But seriously, let me know if you think that there's such thing as a Hawaii walk in the comments below. Do you hear that? To me, the biggest giveaway of the Hawaii walk is the sound. There's just something about people when they walk with slippers who are from Hawaii, you just hear that very familiar sound. And it's not just the footwear, because there are tourists and visitors and people who move here from other places that also wear slippers outside, but they just can't make that sound naturally. Now, based on my experience in Hawaii, you'll hear 2 distinct sounds. The first sound is a dragging sound, where the slipper is being dragged as the person walks. And it's usually for a slow walker, and a lot of people in Hawaii tend to be slow walkers. Not all, but a lot of them do. Now, some people have really long drags, but for me, I tend to have a very short and quick drag when I walk. And when I think about this sound, I think about my grandpa. Because my grandpa used to wear house slippers and he would drag his feet, and because they had wooden floors, you could hear him from all over the house as he was walking because he had those very long, loud strides. And the second sound is that flip-flop clack sound. It's really loud in Hawaii. You primarily hear it with faster walkers, or if it rains or if it's by the pool, you hear that, like just that very quick sound. Of course, you can also hear it when you hear that auntie down the sidewalk and so she's rushing right through the sidewalk and she just gotta go somewhere. But the question is, why do locals make these sounds? And I think it primarily comes from the familiarity that we have with wearing slippers. I mean, people in Hawaii tend to wear slippers from small kid time, and they pretty much wear them year round. And so we're just familiar with the footwear, and because of that, we're so casual and comfortable with wearing it. Whereas a lot of people who just come to Hawaii for vacation, they may wear slippers maybe 4 months out of the entire year. So next time you're outside in Hawaii, just take a listen, because you'll be able to hear how locals walk in their slippers, and you're either gonna get that long drag or you're gonna get that clack, 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 clack down the sidewalk. Now, the second characteristic is the stride. And I think the technical term is walking gait. The way that people in Hawaii walk, they just have a certain stride, just the way that their legs move, left, right, left. It's almost like a casual rhythm that's almost like coconut trees. Now, because many locals are on the shorter end in terms of height, our strides are a lot shorter than maybe people on the mainland, but that doesn't mean that people in Hawaii walk slow, although there are definitely many of those. Boy, but let me tell you about those slow walkers on the sidewalk here, especially in downtown. Whew. I mean, you get stuck behind one slow walker, oh man, it's gonna be a hard time trying to pass them. Then if you get caught behind 2 slow walkers, forget about it. You're not gonna get around them unless you're going around on the street. And if you're behind a group of 3 or more people who just picked up plate lunch downtown and they're walking back, and they walk super slow with their phones in their hands, oh, forget about it. You might as well just cross the street. And I first learned about the stride when I was on the mainland in college. Someone told me, you know, you have a very unique walk. I can always tell it's you when I see you walking from far away. And I asked them, oh, how come? Like, what is it about my walk that makes it recognizable? And they couldn't tell me at the time, but I think it had something to do with just that stride, that way that I walk. And to me, that's what the Hawaii walk is. So I'm gonna do my best to try and break down this Hawaii walk, and please let me know if you know what I'm talking about if you walk that way in the comments below. Okay, gotta go in the shade because it's starting to get kind of hot. So when I walk, I am very heel led, I'm very heel heavy. So what that means is I'm hitting the ground first with my heel, and that's what's dragging down my feet. And I think a lot of local people have this. So that's in contrast to like someone from the mainland or someone who's walking with shoes, right? When you're walking, you're kind of landing kind of forward and there's no dragging, right? It's just normal. Like at the very least, this is where things are kind of hitting the ground first, right? It's just all natural and very steady. But when you're local, it goes like this. You hear that drag, you see that drag, and it's heel led where the heel is sort of digging kind of down. The second thing I noticed about the walk is kind of like this little kick, this kind of like kick, and the knee like locks slightly, just like so slightly. As it's going forward, it like locks and it kicks up. It goes heel down, but before that, there's this little slight kick, and it's kick, and it's kick, and it's kick. And the last characteristic about the Hawaii walk is the slight torso rotation. Now, for people who are generally smaller, it's real slight, like it's very, very subtle that they start rotating their body, maybe their arms are swinging just a little bit. But this gets overly exaggerated and very noticeable if the person is a little bit bigger, you know what I mean? Like when they start getting real big, they just start kind of like swaying back and forth, back and forth. And the thing is, it's not really like a tough guy walk. It's more like a casual, almost like a leaning back of the torso, but with the slight twist. If you get one of these bigger guys, I mean, you definitely will see it. Now, obviously not everyone in Hawaii walks that way, but I think a lot of locals do. And once you spot it outside of Hawaii, it's pretty recognizable. And I think the Hawaii walk is one of those things that is special and unique to growing up and living in Hawaii. You just kind of pick it up, again, because you're just so familiar with wearing slippers all the time. And sure, maybe there's a bad habit of the way that we walk, and it's maybe not very attractive, or it's just too casual for some people, but it's one of those things that I find so endearing, because when I leave Hawaii and I go somewhere else, I can tell if someone is from Hawaii just based on how they walk. So please let me know what you think about this Hawaii walk in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and aloha.
Hello.